Hi, this is Paul Inch from the Tech Modeler channel with an update on my S-Craft from Merit in 1/35 scale, and it is virtually complete now. I'm going to explain a little bit how I've done it, but basically I've got two things to do. I've got to make the night periscope, which is the scope underneath the framing you can see just about there, and this is a standard periscope, an attack periscope as they call it. But they have got a night scope, so you can surface basically and just see a little bit at night time. We're just breaking the surface with the top of the submarine, and that was why it was called a night periscope. I don't think it went up or down at all. It just basically was a static down. It did, because it don't show you in raised position any time. So the night periscope is one that's just on the surface. So it's interesting, but I need a bit of perspex to put there, a little very fine perspex there, and also do a bit of paintwork on the top of the attack periscope, which is the one that's up in the air here. Now, the kit went together really well, because I've done a previous video on how it built up, and with all the photo etch I put on there as well, which you can't see now because it's already been painted and sprayed. I decided to do a basic first primer coat, and I used Mr. Surfacer 500, and that's what I used. I wasn't using 1000, but I used the 500. I think you can see that. I used that as a service base coat, so I coated the whole model with Mr. Surfacer. The reason for that is obviously to give a really good bite for the metal parts that I got all over the kit, and I decided that it would be really worth giving it that extra can. So I sprayed it in my spray booth, so it's pretty good there, and I used a mask obviously as well, because it's for safety, for the old lungs as it were. Also, once I'd done that, I let that dry for about 12 hours. I think it was about 12 hours. And then I sprayed the base colour. Now for the base colour, I used I think I've explained it before, the actual life colour set for the Royal Navy. And the colour that I got out of the life colour set was dark grey 507A, Admiralty dark grey 57, and if I do that, there she is. You might just be able to get it in focus there. There you go. So that's what I used. I went on there, and it looked really nice. Now, then once I sprayed it all over that base colour, I decided that I needed to do a protective coat now, because I was going to be using oils for the first time, and so I used some of the 502 oils. And the set I used for the 50 set oils, I just put it over the background now, is this set, and it's the box set number is it's got six paints in it, and it's 502, and it's called, it's ABT 306 Naval Grey Effects Set. So basically you can get some effects with it. It's really nice. I only used 3 colours from it. I used the faded white, the black, and the natural grey colours, because obviously the ship was grey, so I wanted to do that. But right, so what I actually did though, once I'd finished doing that, I wanted to protect the paint base coat, and I decided to use an Alclad varnish, and it's Alclad 2, and it's basically the original natural metal lacquer. It's for natural lacquer, but I used it for this. The actual number of it is ATC 311. It's clear, a light sheen coat basically. It's called light sheen, and I think you might just be able to see if I put it like that. There you go. There it is. That's what I used, and you can see it lasts a long time. Now again, I did that in the spray booth, and I had a respirator mask on as well, because it is bad for your lungs. But luckily my spray booth does pull out the air very quickly. So, and I've done it with I've tested it with a little bit of a smoke candle, where you just light it and smoke comes up, and you can see the actual smoke's being dragged straight up through. And it did the same. I could actually see some of the excess spray going straight up through the thinners, but I still kept put a mask on and left a mask on it, and it's a really comfortable mask I've got, so it was really worth having for the actual safety side. So I gave it a complete Alclad 2 natural light sheen varnish all over it, and left it to dry again for another few hours, because although it can dry pretty quick, I decided to give it that extra length of time. And then once that was done, I set about doing a bit of oil paint, using oil paints. Now Switcher's got me into this, I must admit, and I'm glad he did, because I thoroughly enjoyed it. And I will admit to thinking that it was looking like well, shite is a word. I don't like using bad words, but that's what I'm going to say. It was looking really bad. I didn't like it at all, and then suddenly I realised the more you play with the oils, the better it got. And as you can see, all the effects I've got of the actual downward stripes where the water will run out of these these recess holes when they pump the water out from when they come up from diving, all that texture that goes down the side really did come off really well. And I was really chuffed with it. And it took about 3 days of doing it and going back. And the good thing about oils, and Switchers mentioned it, and other people that use oils will tell you the same, is you can revisit and revitalise it as long as you don't leave it on there too long. Now, I've still got a few shiny bits along the crease there, and I'm not worried about that because I've noticed that's fading back, and as it dries more and more, because oil paint does take a lot of time to actually dry. So I'm really pleased with that. And what I did is I mixed my own grey. I used the light natural grey that's in the oil paints and mixed it with the white to give me the different textures and shades. Then I put a bit of black in it, as you can see, little slight bits, touch little dots of it all over the model where I wanted it, and just kind of start drawing it down with the actual this stuff, odorless thinner. Now, I know there's cheaper versions out there, but I actually got this to try it out. There it is, the odorless thinner. Used it. I've used quite a bit of it, obviously you can see, but I've got another couple of bottles, so I'm okay. But I will have to get some more later on. It is odorless, and there is a slight smell there, but it's nothing to worry about. And I was actually working in this area when I did that. So it really worked well. And by the way, for the stand, these are only temporary stands for me because I've got a wooden base being made in my shed, and a bit of oak. So you actually won't get any of this bit. So, but I decided to give them a spray up for temporary fix, so it looks nice on there, because it will lift on and off. Because I've actually got 2 holes drilled in the bottom, so when I can actually lift the hatches up, put the screws through, and secure it to the base. So the whole submarine will be seen. So all these little bits where it covers part of the actual submarine up won't be seen. It will just be sitting on top of a very nice bit of oak on top of a main plinth. So that's the idea. And so this was painted with an aerosol can. I used Tamiya's primer to do those, and then after it dry I actually sprayed it with a can of brass, which I use for my driver's keys when I do the clocks, for clocks, to give it a nice brassy look. Anyway, so that's what it is. So that's brass. So it really come on really well. I was really chuffed with it. I'm pleased with the effect, and I've already told Switcher I'm hooked with oils now, because the effect you get on that submarine, I've never been able, I would have probably been able to do it with other washes and bits and pieces, but I think it was fun playing with it as well eventually and getting it how you wanted it. Sometimes you thought, well, I've got to revisit, but it just looks as if it's stained. Bit of black. I left a bit of black up around this area just to give it a bit of a technique. Now what I might do later on is actually put a bit of shine there and a bit of rust there, because that's where they towed the submarines. Because I see submarines in Operation Source were used to go up against the Tirpitz. There was 6 submarines went. One was lost on the way to the actual fjords because, believe it or not, I've read a bit about it, and basically that the rope that was used to actually tow the submarine, they found out that the best rope for towing that didn't cause them any problem was nylon. The nylon rope, and they found that they didn't snag up, and it didn't snap, and it didn't cause any problems. So they was hoping to have every submarine being towed by that, but it didn't. And one of the submarines had rope on board, and basically a bit of rough sea. The crew inside these subs, by the way, when they went to the Tirpitz, the actual tack crew, they were on the main submarine. They had what they call a shipping crew inside, just to get it to the location where they would swap over. So the shipping crew would go back to the main sub, and the actual operational team for the mission, the 4 for each sub, crew members would be on the main sub and be rowed out, obviously got in and took over and took the sub into the fjords to do the business. So, but one of the subs actually sunk on its way there with that shipping crew on board. They all lost their lives, and basically wasn't in action. It was actually just trying to get this sub to the location. So it's a bit of a shame that, I mean, it's horrible when that sort of thing must happen. And they was really, I know that I've read in there, but they was really upset about the fact that these people were lost. They was all good fellas. Another thing is, it really surprised me. There was one crew because there was VCs awarded for the attack on the Tirpitz, but one of the submarines crew, I think it was X5, wasn't awarded the crew, even though they all went down with their sub in the fjord near the Tirpitz, not far from the Tirpitz. And to me, I still think they was there. They was doing their job when they lost their lives trying to attack the Tirpitz. So the ones that got awards evidently were the ones that actually dropped their charges underneath. Then they're still not sure whether the X5 actually, if it is the X5, actually did drop its charge or not. But at the end of the day, they was actually seen and actually obviously fired upon, and the sub went down with all crew members. And I still think they deserved medals as well. I don't know whether they've updated that recently, but they should have done anyway. But because let's face it, they was there doing the same thing. They was exactly on the same mission as well. Anyway, so that's the end of the review of this. Like I said, I may do a quick update on it, showing you the periscope bits later on, but I might put photographs up at some point. But anyway, but as you can see, I'm really happy the way that it turned out. I know Switcher's happy with his, and he did notice that the grey of my ship looked the same as it did on this. Now he must probably be able to see it better now, because obviously I've sent him photographs, but the video must probably show it a little bit better. Right, and also like to say I hope everyone had a lovely Christmas, and to everyone that's watching this, and also to wish you all a happy new year for 2017, and happy modelling throughout that as well. I'll be going back to the Corvette at some point early in the year, but my next build, possibly, I'm taken between two kits. I've got another sub to do, which is the German Seal version, the Omega submarine, the Sea Hound as it's called, but it was also called the Seal, and it's yeah, and basically got torpedoes on it. I'm quite surprised though, because when you look at the box art, it shows you with the red tips and God knows what, and I'd have thought that's the last colour you'd want on anything going under the water to give to, because light does reflect down there. Anyway, but I'll look at that when I do it. But anyway, so thank you very much, and again, wishing you all a happy new year for 2017, and I'll catch you in my first video next year. So this will be the last one for this year, and thank you very much for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one. Bye.